Hello, my name is Zinger from Terrytown, and welcome to your Zinger 328 SB. I'm just going to start right up front here with this little front power tongue jack. You're going to have your on and off for your light underneath. You're going to have your up and down for your front power tongue jack. Then just in case this ever electrically goes out, you can peel this little tab up here, insert a tool, which I believe it's a 3/4 inch bit, then you can go ahead and manually override this by cranking it up and down. For your propane tanks, to switch between the two, you're going to have your regulator switch back here, and you're going to have that little clear tab right beneath it. That is going to be red when there's no propane going through it, and clear when there is, so it kind of gauges and tells you when there is propane or not. Other than that, you just twist this little regulator switch to whichever propane tank you want to use, and of course go ahead and turn it on. Right back here is going to be your battery disconnect. So you have remove cover, power off, and power on. So when you're plugged in, I recommend keeping it on power on, just because it does keep your battery charged. Obviously, there's no battery on it yet, but that will be by the time you get here. But otherwise, it would be power on. And of course, it would be charging your battery, or just using the battery. So that summed up, all it does is disconnect and engage your battery to the inside of the camper. Pass-through storage. Then here's a crank with a 3/4 inch bit, so you do have a manual override tool. And then something I just noticed is that I'm not going to be able to fully extend this slide when I do move it out, so just know that it's not broken, I just can't move it out all the way. Right down here is going to be your sewer system, so you're going to have your gray tank and your black tank pole. So your black tank is going to be your toilet, so flushing anything out of your toilet, so toilet paper and whatnot, that tank is going to be considered your black tank. And for your gray tank, that is going to be considered like showers, sinks, stuff like that. So that's why I recommend doing the black tank first. You just grab the pull tab, pull it, and of course the black tank is going to empty. And then when you're done, pop that closed, open your gray tank. The reason why I recommend doing the gray tank last is because it's the cleanest water out of the two. So when it does go through and flush out, it kind of cleans your sewer hose as well. So when you do go to take your hose off, it's not going to be as dirty as if you just did the black tank last. And then in here, you're going to have your water heater. You're going to need this cap. This cap is going to screw right on here. I'm just going to kind of set it on here more for a visual purpose than to actually do its job. But you're going to want to make sure it's nice and tight. Once that's on and nice and tight, go to the inside of your camper and turn on the hot side of the faucet. The faucet is going to sputter, but that's just all the air getting completely pushed out of your tank. So when that cap is on, obviously it's going to be building pressure and then eventually push all the air out of the tank. So you'll have a full tank of water, and then instead of sputtering, you're going to have a steady flow of water. Once you have that tight, a steady flow of water, you can then go ahead and turn this on. Other than that, when it's time to empty it, just go ahead, pull this pressure release valve here. It's going to hiss, release some pressure out of this little piece here. When that's done hissing, go ahead, take your socket or whatever, pull this back off, and then all of your water is then going to drain right out of that spout there. Right down here is going to be your cable and satellite inputs. An outside shower, so you just have the hot, cold side of the lines, and then your shower head and hose all contained inside here. And this right here is your city water connection. So when you get to your campground, this is going to be your main water source. Just go ahead, stick that campground hose right inside of here, and that's going to push water straight through your lines. And then just up top there is going to be your backup camera. So if you do decide to purchase a backup camera, it will go right there. Come on. What's stuck here? There we go. Alright, And moving on to your outside kitchen, for your little stove top here, pull this out, you're going to have this little black cord back here, which is going to be where your propane comes through. So with that, you're going to want to make sure that when you do plug it in, it goes right down here. The LP quick connect is going to then push propane through that little tube, and then of course into your little stove top there. Otherwise, just to the right of that is going to be the low point drains. And then just to the left of that is going to be your stabilizer jacks. So for these, you just hold extend, they're going to drop. Sometimes one goes down before the other. It's completely normal, you don't have to worry about anything. And then you can see the other one start to go down now. But there's one side hit, the other one goes down. And as soon as you hear that pressure, go ahead and let go. They're not meant to raise your unit, they're just meant to stabilize. So that's why I said as soon as you feel the little bit of pressure, go ahead and let go. Because if it ends up raising up the back end or lifting it up, it will actually break it. Moving on, we're going to have your black tank flush here. This is pretty self-explanatory. It flushes out your black tank. So what you're going to want to do with that is when you open your black tank, of course you let all the toilet stuff flush out. Leave that open, put a pressurized hose right inside of here. And this is going to activate a small sprinkler inside to help kind of flush everything out, or help with flushing everything out. And just in case you do put like a small TV outside on like a stand or something like that, you will have 110 outlets and a small little cable input just in case. And you're gonna have your furnace exhaust. So when your furnace is on, all the extra heat is going to be kicking out of here. So for like little kids and stuff like that, just try and keep them away from this when, of course, this is on. And then right here, we're going to have your fresh tank. So your fresh tank is just going to be a big tank inside of your camper. So if you need to take water with you, because you're going out into the middle of nowhere, you just fill up this tank and take it with you. What I mean by that is, obviously you don't want to be driving with it, but for national parks, they'll usually have like a little spout outside or something like that. You can go ahead and fill it up then. Then of course take your camper inside the national park. But to access this water, you just want to turn on your water pump, and that pump is going to suck water through this fresh tank and push it through your lines. And then to empty that, you just pull a little white tab down there, and then it will empty out. Front stabilizer jack. And then you have all of your hitch setup here, which your salesperson will help go over with you. Just make sure it all makes sense. For your steps, make sure your door is completely open. There we go. It's kind of hard to do that with one hand. But for different ground clearances, if you need to move your legs, you just go ahead and press these in, move them up and down. And then for this little piece here, you can go ahead and twist it either way, just to make sure that A, when it's going up, these are behind the frames, and B, when you're pulling out, they move away from the frames. Moving to the inside, we're gonna have your main power panel here. I'm just gonna go ahead and flip on all the lights. And then right here, you're going to have all of your readers. So fresh tank reader, black tank reader, gray tank reader. And then if your camper has extra gray tanks or whatever, it'll put it there. But you only have the 1 and 2 for black tank and gray tank. Water pump, so that's what I mentioned before with your fresh tank. You just flick this on, it's gonna draw water. You have 2 elements to your water heater, gas and electric. So whichever one you wanna do, just go ahead and flip that on. Slide 1, slide 2, then your awning in and out. One thing about your awning is that it's not gonna automatically stop. So when you're bringing it out, so of course, holding it out, it's gonna go, and then you just have to let go. But 2 things you have to look for when you are fully extending your awning is the awning flap, and then the black, is that black or gray? The black bar it's sitting on underneath. So So this actual bar here, that's has everything wrapped up on top of it. You're gonna want to make sure you see that, and then you go ahead and let go. So once you see that bar, and then the end of the awning flap down, go ahead and then let go. For your slide one, move this out. Like I said, I can't actually fully extend that back slide because of that pull there. So I'm gonna do the best I can to explain everything back there. So once you hear that little gear grinding noise, go ahead and let go. That just means that your slide is fully extended, and it also means that the motor is reaching its limit. That's why it makes that noise. So you don't have anything to worry about. It's completely normal. For these are going to be your keys. So the gray ones are going to be for your main doors, and then and baggage doors actually. And then this little silver one is going to be for your outside shower. So grays, main doors, and baggage doors, silver, outside shower. It's not really a whole lot to your bedroom. The only thing in here really is just going to be the TV bracket, and then the location for it, and then you have the inputs and power outlets over there. Right here's going to be your sound bar. I'm just going to briefly go over it. Power. A is inside speakers, B is outside speakers. This is going to be source, so flip through Bluetooth and stuff like that, radio. You will all choose that through that button there. And you have aux, USB, pause, play, rewind. And you have volume up, volume down, and then either skip track or bounce to radio stations with those. Down here is going to be your space heater. So I'm just going to move the camera over here. So far left one is power. Second to the left one is going to be the color change. Third one is going to be dim. And then the far right one is going to be your heat. Moving around here, that's going to be your carbon monoxide detector. That's always going to be running just as a safety feature. So when you are not plugged in, make sure that this little green light is off, because even when your battery disconnect is off and you're unplugged, sometimes it can be stubborn and actually not listen, and it will actually keep running. So if that seems to happen, go ahead and just take the negative end off of your battery, and then that will finally die. Otherwise, microwave, light and fan. And then for your oven and stove here, light to turn on. This is your igniter. You always want to turn to the right to spark it. You cannot turn to the left because it will snap off. For the rest of your burners, you just press in, turn to release the gas, and then you spark to ignite. For your oven, it's going to be similar, but you're going to want to pay attention to this little silver piece back there, because that's where your gas is going to come out and where it's going to ignite. So, similar process to the rest, but you just press in, turn to the pilot symbol, spark, 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 until you see the small flame appear in the back. Then once you do, go ahead and adjust your temperature needed. For your fridge and freezer, hold this button, turn on, it's going to beep. And then to adjust temperature between your fridge and your freezer, you click the one you want, then you go through and click through here. 5 is going to be the highest number, aka the coldest it gets. So the higher the number, the colder it gets. And then once again, you go between fridge and freezer. And then right here is just nighttime mode, not really a whole lot to it. All it does is just kind of make your fridge go on less power, so if you're traveling, it's not going to be taking up as much. And then for your system here, or your thermostat, you just adjust the slide to whichever temperature you want. And of course, move the system, so whether you want the cool, so the AC, fan, off, or heat, you just move it to whichever one. And if you do put it on fan, right over here, you have your fan on. And then of course, you have all of your settings as well. And then, got your back bedroom. Not a whole lot to it. And then, a couple main things about your bathroom is that you're going to want to make sure that you know it's a foot flush, so you just press down and it flushes. You're going to need RV grade toilet paper, and toilet solution. This solution is going to help break down solids and smells, and then the toilet paper is just going to help break down easier, just to make sure that everything, you know, flushes nice and easy and nothing gets clogged. And then I can't tell if there's anything back there needed. Oh, a couple things I forgot. Down here, this is going to be your breakers and your fuses. So your breakers are going to be labeled just like a house would be. And then for your fuses, I do recommend bringing some extras. That's just a personal recommendation, but I do highly recommend it. You can pick those up at any auto parts stores, like an AutoZone or something like that, for example. And then the last thing I want to talk about is for your AC. So when your AC is on, what most people do is when they get to a campground, their camper is going to be nice and hot. So they dump it out here just to start cooling down, get air moving, stuff like that. And then once it starts cooling down, they'll close it. Because when they close it, it's all ducted, so then it'll start to flow out the white circles in the ceiling. But besides that, that has been your brief orientation. If you do have any questions, please write them down and bring them in with you when you do come to pick this up. Other than that, if there's any questions during any time, feel free to email me and I can help get those answers for you. Other than that, congratulations, and I hope you enjoy.